The Book of Heaven. Volume 10. Finding myself in my usual state, I commended to my blessed Jesus the many needs of the Church. He said to me, "My daughter, the holiest works done with human motives are like those cracked vessels. No matter what liquor is poured into it, little by little the liquid flows to the ground. When someone picks up these containers in due course of need, they find them empty. That is why the children of my Church are reduced to such a state. Because in their operations, everything is done with human motives. Then in moments of need, in dangers, and in affronts, they find themselves emptied of grace. That is why weakened, exhausted, and almost blinded by the human spirit, they indulge in excesses. Oh! How Church leaders should have been vigilant! Not to let myself be the laughing stock and the object of the petty actions of these people. It is true that there would be a lot of scandal if they repented. But it would be less of an offense to me than all those sacrileges they commit. Ah! It's too hard for me to tolerate them. Pray to my daughter, because many sad things are about to come out of the interior of the children of the Church." Then he disappeared. I was thinking of my blessed Jesus. At the moment when he carried the cross on his way to Calvary. Especially when he meets Veronique, who offers him the laundry to wipe his face all soaked in blood. I said to my kind Jesus, "My love, Jesus, heart of my heart. If Veronique offered you the linen, in truth, I do not intend to offer you cloths to wipe your blood. I offer you my heart, the continual beating of my heart. All my love. My little intelligence, my breath. The circulation of my blood. My movements and my whole being to wipe your blood. And not only to wipe your face but for all your most holy humanity. I intend to break into as many small pieces. For as many wounds as you carry. For as much suffering as you endure. For as much bitterness as you feel and for as many drops of blood as you shed. To pose on all your sufferings. On one side, I put my love. On another side, a sedative. On one side, a small bath, on another, a repair. On another, sympathy, on another, thanksgiving, etc. I don't want to. That no particle of my being. Let no drop of my blood take care of you. And Jesus, do you know the reward I want? I want you to print, to place the seal of your image on all the smallest particles of my being so that you find everywhere and in everything. I can multiply my love." I was still saying many other blunders. After receiving Holy Communion and looking into myself, I saw Jesus inside a flame in all the particles of my being. This flame said, "Love." Jesus said to me, "That's it. I made my daughter happy. In as many ways as you have given yourself to me. Also and in triple, I gave you a gift of myself." Finding myself in my usual state, I thought of the virtue of purity. I could see that I wasn't paying much attention to it. I was neither in favor nor against. It seems to me that this question of purity does not bother me and I do not pay attention to it either. So I said to myself, I don't know where I stand in relation to this virtue, but I don't want to embarrass myself. In all things, love is enough for me. Jesus, continuing my reflection, said to me, "My daughter. Asterisk on the one hand, love contains everything, chains everything, gives life to everything, triumphs over everything, embellishes everything and enriches everything. Asterisk on the other hand, purity is content. Not to take any action, not to look, not to entertain any thought, and not to pronounce a word that is not chaste. It tolerates the rest. With this, the soul acquires nothing more than natural purity. On the other hand, love is jealous of everything, even of thought and breath. Even if they were chaste. Love wants everything for itself. With this, he gives to the soul not natural purity, but divine purity. This is the case for all other virtues. Then we can say that love is patience, love is obedience, gentleness, strength, and peace. Love is everything. Then all the virtues that do not receive the life of love can at most be called natural virtues. But love transforms them into divine virtues. Oh! What a difference between one and the other! Natural virtues are servants and divine virtues are queens. So in everything, let love be enough for you. Finding myself in my usual state, I saw my always kind Jesus. Internally, I felt all transformed in the love of my beloved Jesus. Je me suis en suite retrouvé à l'intérieur de Jesus et avec lui j'ai éclaté en actes d'amour. Je mais comme Jesus aimait, mais je ne sais pas comment le dire, il me manque les mots. Puis j'ai trouvé monde du Jesus en moi et moi seul éclaté en actes d'amour. Jesus écoutait ces actes et me dit, dis le. Dis le. Répétez-le à nouveau. Soulage moi avec ton amour. Le manque d'amour agité le monde dans un filet de vices. Puis il demeure silence en vous de m'écouter. J'ai répète de nouveau mes actes d'amour. J'ai vais raconter le peu dont je me souviens. A chaque moment, à chaque heure, j'ai vertigers t'aimer de tout monde cœur. Dans tous les souffles de ma vie, j'ai vais t'aimer. Dans tous les battements de mon cœur, j'ai vais répéter, amour, amour. Dans toutes les gouttes de mon sang, j'ai vais crier amour, amour. Dans tous les mouvements de mon corps, j'ai embrasserai que l'amour. J'ai ver parler que d'amour. J'ai ver regarder que l'amour. I only want to hear love and I only want to think of love. I only want to burn with love. I only want to be consumed with love. I only want to love love. I only want to satisfy love. I only want to live on love and I only want to die in love. Every moment, every hour, I want to call everyone to love. I will live only and always only with Jesus and in Jesus. I will immerse myself in my heart. And, with Jesus and with his heart love, love, I will love you. But who can mention everything I said? As I did this, I felt my whole being divided into many small flames and then they became a single flame. Since a good and holy priest was to come, I was a little anxious to want to consult him, especially in the current state, in order to know the divine will for me. Now after the priest has come twice, I saw that nothing had happened of what I wanted. Having received Holy Communion and finding myself all afflicted, I told my affectionate Jesus of my extreme affliction, telling him, my life, my good and my all, it is clear that you alone are everything to me. No matter how holy the creatures, I have never found a word, a comfort or appeasement to my doubts that come from them. It is clear that there must be no one for me but you. You alone must be everything to me and I must always be only to you. I surrender myself completely and forever in you. As bad as I am, have the kindness to support me in your arms and don't leave me for a single moment. As I said this, my blessed Jesus let me see that he was looking at my interior. He would knock everything up and down to see if there was anything he didn't like. As he kept capsizing everything, he took in his hands something like a small grain of white sand and threw it on the ground. Then he said to me, my dearest daughter, it is quite right that the soul that is everything to me, I alone am everything to this soul. I am too jealous to let another bring him any comfort. I want me alone and only me to substitute for all, for you and in everything. What do you need? What do you want? I do everything to please you. Do you see that white grain that I took away from you? It was nothing but that little anxiety you had because you wanted to know my will through others. I took it away from you and threw it on the ground. To leave you in holy indifference, where I want you. Now I will tell you what my will is for you. I want Holy Mass and Holy Communion too. Whether you have to wait or not wait for the priest to revive you, will remain indifferent. If you feel sleepy, you won't force yourself to revive. If you feel revived, you won't force yourself to fall asleep. Know that I am telling you. Always ready and always in the state of victim, even if you do not always suffer. I want you. Come ces soldats sur le champ de bataille. Qui, même sil acte de guerre n'est pas continuel, ont leurs armes toujours prêtes et si nécessaires, assistants leurs quartiers. Quand parfois l'ennemi vaut un dispute, ils sont toujours prêts à le vaincre. Dans toi ma fille. Sois toujours prête. Sois toujours à ta place. Alors quand j'ai besoin de te faire souffrir. Pour me refaire au you. Pour épargner auxiliary autre des châtiments ou autre, je te trouverai toujours prête. I don't always have to be obliged to call you, nor every time to dispose you for sacrifice, but I will consider you as always called. Even if I don't always hold you in the act of suffering. So, we agree, don't we? Be quiet and fear not. As I continued in my usual state, my ever-kind Jesus came. I saw myself as a spark. This spark was circulating all around my dear Jesus. At some point, she stopped on his head. At another moment, in his eyes. Then she entered his mouth and went down into him. As far as inside his adorable heart. Then she came out and continued to do her tour. At one point, Jesus put it under his feet. Instead of extinguishing herself because of the heat of the solace of her divine feet, she ignited even more and jumped from under her feet with even more speed to circulate around Jesus again. At one point I was praying with Jesus. Then I did acts of love. At another time I was making repairs. In short, I was doing what Jesus was doing. With Jesus, that spark has become immense. Embraced everyone in prayer and no one could escape him. The spark was found in the love of each and every one of them. She loved for everyone. She was making repairs and it substituted itself for all and for all things. Oh! How admirable and inexpressible are the actions done with Jesus. I lack the words to be able to put on paper. Expressions of love and other things which are made with Jesus. Obedience requires it. The Spirit climb into the heights to take the words of Jesus. Then he descends into the depths to find the expressions and words of natural language. But the mind does not find the means to express it. So I can't. Then my beloved Jesus said to me, "My daughter, you are the spark of Jesus. The spark can be anywhere. It can penetrate into anything. It does not take up space. At most, she lives in the heights and aerobatics. Also, it's pleasant." I answered Jesus. The spark is very weak and can easily go out. If it goes extinct there is no way to give it a new life. So, poor me if I can die out. Jesus replied. No, no. Jesus' spark cannot be extinguished because his life is nourished by the fire of Jesus and the sparks that draw their lives from my fire are not subject to death. And if these sparks die, they die in the very fire of Jesus. I have made you a spark in order to have more fun with you. Because of the smallness of the spark, I can use it and make it fly continuously inside and outside of me. I can hold it in any part of myself according to my will. In my eyes, in my ears, in my mouth, under my feet, where I prefer. Continuing in my usual state, I saw in my mind several priests and blessed Jesus who said, "In order to be able to accomplish great things for God, it is necessary to destroy self-esteem, his human respect and its own nature. To live the divine life and recognize only the esteem of our Lord and which concerns his honor and glory. It is necessary to crush and pulverize what concerns the human in order to be able to live by God. And that's it. It is not you, but it is God who will speak and act in you. The souls and works entrusted to you will produce splendid effects and you will reap the fruit desired by you and by me, such as the work of the meeting of priests of which I mentioned to you before. One of these priests would be able to promote and do this work. But a little self-esteem, vain fear, and human respect make him incapable. When grace finds the soul surrounded by these lowliness, it flies away and does not stop. The priest remains a man who does a man's job, and his works produce man-like effects and not the effects produced by the works of a priest who is animated by the Spirit of Jesus Christ. After receiving Holy Communion, I prayed to the good Jesus for a priest who wanted to know if the Lord was calling him to the religious state. The good Jesus said to me, "My daughter, I call her. It is he who is still undecided. Souls that are not resolved are not good for anything. The opposite happens when a soul is decided and resolved. It overcomes all difficulties and melts them. Those who are responsible for creating difficulties, seeing that the soul is resolved, are weakened and do not have the courage to oppose the soul. What binds this priest is a small attachment. I do not want to contaminate my grace in hearts that are not detached from everything. If he detaches himself from everything and everyone, then my grace will flood him further. He will feel the strength necessary to carry out my call. Ce matin bien heureux Jesus sest les voir tout petit mais si beau et si gracieux tu il me ravit en un doux enchantement. Il était spécialement plus aimable parce que avec ses petites mains il prena it de petits clous et me clouait avec un art digne uniquement de monde toujours aimable Jesus. Ensuite il me comble de baisers et d'amour, ce que j'ai lui rendu en retour. Je me suis retrouvé après cela dans la grotte de monde Jesus nouveau ne. Monde petit Jesus me dit. Ma fille bien-aimée, qui est venu me visiter dans la grotte de ma naissance? Seulement les burgers ont et mes premiers visiteurs. Ce sont les seuls qui se sont déplacés pour m'offrir des cadeaux et des choses bienheureuses. Ils sont les premiers à recevoir la connaissance de ma venue dans le monde. Par conséquent, ils sont les premiers favorisés et combles de ma grâce. C'est pourquoi j'ai connu toujours des gens pauvres, ignorants et simples sur lesquels j'ai divers une abondance de grâces. J'ai les coises parce que ils sont toujours les plus disponables. Ils sont ceux qui m'écoutent et qui croient en moi le plus facilement, sans to make so many difficulties, without making so many quarrels as do, in contrast, well-educated people. Then it was the Magi who came. But no priest was seen, although they should have been the first to come to pay homage to me because they knew, more than any other, according to the scriptures they were studying, the time and place of my coming. It was also easier for them to come and visit me. But not a single one, not one moved. Rather, while they pointed the finger at the Magi, they the priests did not move. They didn't bother to take a step to look for the trace of my coming. It was at the time of my birth a very bitter pain for me. These priests were so attached to riches, interests, family, and external things that their eyes were blinded as if by a burst of light. These ties have hardened their hearts and made their minds heavy in the face of the knowledge of sacrosanct things, of the surest truths. They were so sunk into the vile things of this world that they would never have believed that a God could come to earth in such poverty and humiliation. This has been the case not only at the time of my birth, but throughout my life. When I was doing miracles, no priest followed me. Rather, they plotted my death and killed me on the cross. After using all my art to attract them to me, I put them aside and I have chosen poor people, ignorant people who have been my apostles, and I have formed my church. I isolated them from their families. I freed them from any attachment to wealth. I filled them with the treasures of my grace and I have made them capable of governing my church and souls. You have to know that this pain still exists for me, because the priests of this time united with the priests of that time. They are attached to families, interests, and external things, and they pay little or no attention to inner things. Rather, some have deteriorated so much that they make the laity understand that they are not happy with their state of life, lowering their dignity to the lowest level and even below the level of the laity. Ah! My daughter, what value can their words still have for the people? Rather, because of the priests, People's faith is deteriorating and they fall into the abyss of the worst evils. People move forward with uncertainty and darkness because they no longer see light in priests. This is why the meeting houses of priests are necessary. That priests, freed from the darkness of which they are invaded, detached from families, interests, and concerns for external things, may manifest the light of true virtues. And that people can realize their faults from the mistakes they have fallen into. These meetings are so necessary that whenever the church reaches a trough, almost always, these meetings were the means to raise up the church and make it more beautiful and more majestic. Hearing this I said, "My most high and only good, my sweet life, I sympathize with your pain and I would like to soften it with my love. But you know very well who I am, how poor, ignorant, and malignant I am and how extremely caught up in the passion for my erasure. J amaris cella sije poveus telement me casher en toi k plus personae ne pour rate croyer kj exist encore. A la place, tu ver kje parle. De ces choses qui blessent telement ton cœur bien-aimé. Des choses tu ilestsi nécessaire, que ton église connaisse. Oh my Jesus! Tell me about love. Instead, go to good and holy souls to tell them about those things that are so useful to your church." My good Jesus continued to say, "My daughter, I also liked erasure. But everything has its time. When it was necessary for the honor and glory of the Father and for the good of souls, I revealed myself and lived my public life. This is how I do with souls. Sometimes I keep them hidden. Other times, I manifest them. You have to be indifferent to everything, wanting only what I want. Rather, I bless your heart and mouth and I will speak to you with my own mouth and with my own pain." And so he blessed me and he disappeared. Now, in order to obey, I write about past things. I want to give explanations about these meetings of priests that my blessed Jesus desires. A holy priest came last November and asked me to ask Jesus what Jesus expected of him. My ever-kind Jesus said to me, "The mission of the priest chosen by me will be elevated and sublime. It's about saving for me the noblest and most sacred part that are my priests, who, in these times, are the laughing stock of the people. The most appropriate ways to save them would be to form these priests' meeting houses in order to isolate them from their families, because the family kills the priest. He, the priest chosen by me, must promote this work to the priests, push them and even threaten them. If he saves the priests for me, he has saved the people." So I received 4 communications from Jesus about these meetings. I wrote them down and handed them over to this priest. So I didn't think it was necessary to repeat them in my writings. But obedience requires me to write them down, so I make the sacrifice. My adorable Jesus said to me, "The mission I will give him is high and sublime, and in a special way it is a mission for priests. The faith among the people is almost extinguished and if there are some sparks in it, it is as if hidden under the ashes. The lives of the priests, their bad examples and their lives, which remain almost entirely worldly and perhaps worse, contribute to the death of this spark. So, if this happens, what will happen to the priests and the people? That's why I called him to take an interest in my cause. With his example, with his words, his works, and his sacrifices, he will remedy the situation. The most suitable, appropriate, and effective remedy would be to form the meeting houses of secular priests in their own cities and to isolate them from families. Because the family kills the priest and product. Shadows of interest to be cast on the people, as well as shadows of appreciation of worldly things and shadows of corruption. In short, the family removes all the luster, the splendor of priestly dignity and makes priests the laughing stock of the people. I will give him fearlessness, courage, and grace if he gets to work. In addition, it seems to me that at some point blessed Jesus, he pierced the heart of this priest with love and at another moment, he pierced him with pain, giving him some of Jesus' pains. My Most High and One Good continues to tell me the great good that will come to the Church through the formation of these houses of encounters. Les bons seront encore meilleurs. Les imparfaits, les tides et ceux qui se sont laissés aller deviendront bons. Les mauvais quitteront. Et voilà, le corps des ministres de monde église, passé au crible et purifie. Avec la partie des plus élus et des plus sacres purifiés, le peuple sera réforme. A ce moment là, j'aivu corrado dans monde esprit comme à l'intérieur d'une photo. Ensuite j'aivu les prêtres qui devaient se mettre à la tête de l'œuvre mais sous la direction du Père G. Les prêtres semblaient être le Père CDB et le Père CF, suivis par d'autres. Et me semble qu'ils devaient utiliser certains de leurs choses personnelles. Monde adorable Jesus ajuda. Il est nécessaire que l'œuvre soit bien attachée avec un noeud. Afin de ne permettre à personne de pouvoir s'échapper. Mais aussi pour procurer auxiliary prêtres les moyens nécessaires afin que le peuple ne soit pas opprimé, en les soutenant. Ensuite, l'argent et les revenus de la paroisse. Accordez l'argent uniquement auxiliary prêtres qui feront partie de ces rencontres. This money will help maintain the choir and all other services related to their ministry. At first, we will see contradictions and persecutions rise, but at most it will be between the priests themselves. But immediately, things will change and people will be with them and generously provide for their needs. They will enjoy peace and the fruit of their labor for those who are with me, I allow everyone to be for them. Then my ever-kind Jesus threw himself into my arms, limping and all afflicted, a scene capable of drawing compassion from the rocks themselves. He said, "Say unto Father G. that I beg him. That I implore him to help save my children and not to let them die." Continuation of the same approach. With the priest present, I saw heaven open and my adorable Jesus and the Heavenly Mother who came to me. From heaven all the saints looked at us. My always kind and gentle Jesus says, "My daughter," said Father G, "that I absolutely want this work. They are already starting to struggle. Tell him that nothing else is necessary except to have fearlessness, courage, and no interest. It is necessary to close the ears to all that is human and to open them to all that is divine. Otherwise, human difficulties will be that net which will entangle them in such a way that they will not be able to get out of it. I will punish them in all justice by making them the tea towels of the people. If, on the contrary, they promise to get to work, I will be everything to them. They will be nothing but the shadows that will follow the work so desired by me. Not only that, but they will receive another great blessing. It is necessary for the Church to be purified and washed in blood because many have covered themselves with mud, to the point of making me nauseous. Where they will be purified by this means, the houses of encounters, I will spare the blood. What more could they want?" Then turning around as if looking at a particular priest he added, "I have chosen you to be at the head of this work because I have cast a seed of courage in you. This is the gift I have given you. I don't want you to take this gift away unnecessarily. So far, you've wasted it on frivolous things, nonsense, and politics games. And these things only paid you back by bitterness and by not even giving yourself peace. Now that's enough. That's enough. Get to work. Use this courage. I have given you everything for me and I will be everything for you. I will pay you by giving you peace and grace. I will make you acquire the esteem for which you have thrown the hook to this day without catching anything. I will not give you human esteem, but rather divine esteem." Then he said to Father G, "My son, courage. Defend my cause. Support her. Help the priests you see a little disposed towards this work. Promise all good, in my name, to those who will set to work and threatens those who raise contradictions and obstacles. Tell bishops and chiefs that if they want to save the herd, this is the only way. Tell them that it is the bishop's duty to save the pastors and pastors the flock. If the bishops do not bring the pastors to safety, how could the flock ever be saved? Having understood the difficulties that priests have in organizing the meetings well, I prayed to the good Jesus that if the houses were his will, that he would melt away the obstacles that prevent such a great good. My adorable Jesus, when he came, said to me, "My daughter, all the obstacles come from the fact that everyone looks at things from their point of view and according to their dispositions. Naturally, 1,000 traps and obstacles are placed on the track to hinder their steps. But if they look at the work in the aspect of my honor and glory and as the only good for their souls and the souls of others, all traps will break and obstacles will disappear. And again, if they get to work, I will be with them and I will protect them so much that if a priest wants to oppose and hinder my work, I am even willing to take his life." Then my ever-kind Jesus, all afflicted, added, "Ah, my daughter! What do you think is the most insurmountable obstacle and the strongest trap? Only interest. The interests are the priest's moth that makes him a rotten wood good only to be burned in hell. Interests make priests the laughing stock of the devil, mockery of the people and the idol of their own family. That is why the demon will put a lot of obstacles to prevent them from carrying out this work. Because he sees tearing himself the net that held the priests chained and enslaved by its domination. That is why you must say to Father G to give courage to the priests he sees willing and not to abandon them if he sees that the work is not advancing. Otherwise, they will only start making plans and will come to nothing. You will also tell Father G to tell the bishops not to order anyone who is not willing to live isolated from his family. Also, tells Father G that many will laugh at the work, ridiculing and discrediting it, but he must ignore them. All suffering for my cause will be sweet. Still in my usual state, my blessed Jesus came briefly and said to me, I prayed to my ever-kind Jesus to melt down the obstacles that prevented these meetings and to manifest to us the way and the best way that he wants these meetings to be done. My daughter, the point, the most important for me and to which I care most is to detach the priest from his family as perfectly as possible. Priests must give everything they have to their families and keep for themselves only personal things. And since they must be supported by the Church, justice demands that where things come from, this is where they need to go. This means that everything that priests can possess must serve only their maintenance, to increase the works of my glory and for the good of the people. Otherwise I will not allow the people to be generous to them. Not only that, but if they separate physically from their family but not from the heart, there will be a lot of greed to know who can make a greater profit, and this will be the cause of bad moods between them. If one is given a task rather than another which is more profitable, allowing him to give more to his family, they will see in practice all the harm that it will bring by reflecting on this point which is dear to my heart. So many divisions, so many jealousies, so many grudges, etc. I will be satisfied only with the adhesion of a few priests rather than destroying the work so desired by me. Ah! My daughter! How much manhood will manifest itself! How skillful they will be to defend well, to support and to excuse this so greatly desired idol of interests. Ah! Only the soul consecrated to me can encounter this misfortune. That instead of caring for me, my honor and glory, the sanctification of their souls according to their state, that I be useful to them only as a cover. Their goal is to take care of their families, nephews, and nieces. Ah! This is not the case for those who give themselves to the world. On the contrary, they try to bargain with their families. And if they can't manage to take something from them, they end up dispossessing their own parents. Yet, when someone doesn't just take care of my glory and tasks related only to his priestly ministry, he is nothing but a dislocated bone, which makes me suffer. Who is suffering and makes the people suffer. In addition, he makes his vocation useless. When a bone is not put back in its place, it always causes pain. By not participating in bodily functions, over time it dries out and it becomes necessary to detach it and reject it as much because of its uselessness. Only because of the pain he gives to the other limbs. Thus the priests, when they don't just care about me, being a dislocated bone of my body, they dry up because they do not participate in the flow of my grace, and I support them. But if I realize their hardening, I reject them from me. And do you know where? In the deepest part of hell. Then he added, "Right. And in your writing, say to this priest to whom I entrust this mission of priests, to be firm on this point. To make this point untouchable to me. Tell him also that I want him on the cross and always crucified with me. By still being in my usual state, my adorable Jesus showed himself in tears. The Celestial Mother brought it to me so that I could soothe it as much as possible. So I kissed him, stroked him, and squeezed him all against me, saying, 'What do you want from me? Don't you want a little love to make yourself happy and calm your crying? Have you not told me yourself on other occasions that your happiness is my love? I love you so much, so much. But I love you with yourself, because alone I don't know how to love you. Give me your burning breath that melts my whole being into a flame of love, and then I will love you in the hearts of all.' But who can say all my dizziness? It seems that he has calmed down a bit. To distract my sweet love from his tears, I told him, 'My life and my all, console yourself. How good will come from the meetings of priests. Oh! How happy you will be!' Immediately Jesus said, 'Ah! My daughter! Interests are the poison of priests. Interests have infiltrated so much among the priests that it has poisoned their hearts, their blood, and even the marrow of their bones. Oh! How well the demon was able to braid, having found their will available to be braided. My grace used all its tricks to form in them braids of love and to give them the necessary antidotes to fight interests. But not finding their will willing, my grace could not weave very little or nothing of what is divine. Then the demon, knowing that he loses a lot by not being able to totally prevent these houses of meetings of priests, is, however, content to maintain the net which he has woven with the poison of interests. Oh! You'd cry with me if you saw how few there are those who are willing to isolate themselves physically and heartily from their family, and willing to reject the poison of interests. Don't you see? How do they argue among themselves about it? How restless they remain! How much they ignite! Rather, they believe it is nonsense, something that does not suit their condition. While Jesus was saying this, I saw priests who were willing for them. How few of them were! Jesus disappeared and I found myself with myself, experiencing reluctance to write these things that concern priests, and having made the sacrifice because of the obedience that wants it so, my beloved Jesus then returned. He gave me a kiss to reward me for the sacrifice I made. He added, 'My beloved daughter, you didn't say everything about inconveniences that would occur if a priest remained hindered because of ties with his family. The many missed vocations for which the Church weeps bitterly in these sad times. Certainly, we see many modest priests, many priests in need of piety, of true piety, many who indulge in pleasures, impurity, many others who consider that losing one's soul is nothing, without the slightest bitterness, and the so many other mistakes they commit. These are signs of missed vocations. If the families see that there is nothing more to hope for from the priests, the happiness of encouraging their children to become priests will no longer come to them. Thought will not come from children neither to enrich nor to raise their families through the ministry of priests. I replied, 'Ah! My sweet Jesus! Instead of telling me these things, go to the chiefs, go see the bishops, since they are the ones who have the authority. They can come to satisfy you on this point. But poor little me, what can I do? I can only sympathize with you, love you, and make reparations. Jesus said to me, my daughter, go see the chefs. Go see the bishops. The poison of interests has invaded everyone. And since almost everyone is plagued by this pest fever, the courage to make the necessary correction there lack, as well as the courage to erect a barrier between priests and those on whom they depend. Moreover, I am not understood by someone who is not stripped of everything and everyone. My voice resonates badly in their ears. It seems to them rather an absurdity, something that does not suit their human condition. If I talk to you, we understand each other pretty well. If there is nothing else, I find at least an opening to express my pain. And you're going to love me more because you know my bitterness. Continuing in my usual state, my ever-kind Jesus came. He was so distressed and so burning with love that he was delirious and asked to be relieved. Throwing his arms around my neck, he said to me, my daughter, give me love. This is the one and only relief that soothes my delusions of love. Then he added, girl, what you have written about the priests' meetings is nothing more than a process that I undertake with them. If they listen to me, that's good. But the leaders of the clergymen will not listen to me, given that they too are bound by the pitfalls of interests, and that they are slaves to human miseries almost burdening them, instead of dominating them. That is, the miseries, interests, the dignities of their office and other miseries. Rather, it is the miseries that dominate them. Since they have become deaf to human things, I will not be not understood, not heard. That is why I will turn to the civil authorities, who will listen to me more easily. Seeing the priest humiliated, and given that the civil authorities are perhaps a little more stripped down than the clergy themselves, my voice will be heard more. What the ecclesiastics do not want to do for love, I will make them do. By necessity and by force. I will ensure that the government removes the residue that has remained stuck to the clergy. I said, my most high and only good, what is the name to be given to these houses? And what will be the regulations? Jesus answered, the name will be, the houses of the renewal of faith. The regulations, they can use the same rules as the oratory of Saint Philip of Neri. Then he added, tell Father B that you will be the organ and that he will be the sound for this work. If the work is ridiculed and rejected by those concerned, the good and the rare very good will understand the necessity and truth that Father B proclaims. They will make it a duty of conscience to get to work. And after all, if Father B is ridiculed, he will have the honor of making himself more like me. I heard about the difficulties of priests, especially with regard to the total severance of ties with the family. They said it was impossible to achieve this in the way that blessed Jesus asked for. If Jesus really wants this work, they said, he would have spoken to the Pope, who has authority and can command everyone, thus the work can be realized. I repeated all this to my blessed Jesus and complained to him. My great love, wasn't I right to tell you to go to the chiefs and tell them these things? Telling me, an ignorant little one, what can I do? My ever-kind Jesus said, my daughter, right. Don't be afraid, I'll be with you. My word is eternal, and what may not be useful here, may be useful elsewhere. What is not done in these times will be done in other times. But I want the union of priests in community life carried out in this way, unalterable as I told you. By detaching themselves from their family and having no possessions. Ah! You don't know the spirit of priests these days. It is in no way different from the spirit of the laity. A spirit of revenge, hatred, interest, and blood. So, with the priests who have to live together. If one earns more than the other and does not give up his gain for the good of all, some will feel preferred to others. Some will feel dispossessed. Some humiliated by believing that they too would be able to make such a gain. Thus will arise quarrels, grudges, and discontent. They will even come to use their fists. Your Jesus told you so, and that is enough. This point is also necessary. It is the column, the foundation, the life, and the nourishment of this work. If it could be done differently, I wouldn't have insisted so much. Look a little bit at my daughter. How unrefined and ignorant of divine things. I don't have their ways of thinking. They move forward by lapping and demonstrating their dignity. In communicating with souls, I do not look at their dignity. I don't look at whether they are bishops or popes. But I look to see if these souls are stripped of everything and everyone. I look into them to see if everything is love for me. I look to see if they are scrupulous to make themselves the owners, even with a single breath, even with a single heartbeat. In finding them all love, I don't look at _si they are doctors or not. If they are vile, poor, despised and dusty, I turn dust even into gold. I transform it into myself. I communicate everything about myself. I communicate to them my most intimate secrets. I make these souls a part of my joys and sorrows. Rather, alive in me by virtue of love, it is not surprising that they know my will on souls and on the Church. Their life with me is one. Their will is one, and one is the light with which they see the truth according to divine views and not according to human views. That is why I do not have to make an effort to communicate myself to these souls, and I raise them above all dignities. Then, squeezing everything against him and kissing me, he said to my confusion and with his greatest indulgence, "My beautiful daughter, but beautiful of my own beauty, do you grieve at the things they say? Don't grieve. Ask Father B, my poor son, how much he has suffered for my cause at the hands of his superiors, his colleagues and others to the point. Let them declare it stupid and enchanting. They give themselves the duty to give him such penance to the point of classifying him as crazy people. And what is his crime? Love. Some people, feeling shame for their own lives, in comparison with his, made war on him. Ah! How expensive is the crime of love! Love is very expensive for me and for my dear children. I love him so much. As a reward for what he suffered, I gave myself to him and I abide in him. My poor son, they don't leave him alone. They spy on him from all sides. They don't do this to others. Who knows if they can find material to correct and mortify it? I, by being with him, render their deception futile. This makes him courageous. Oh! How terrible will be the judgment I will make against those who dare to mistreat my dearest children. Finding myself in my usual state, the heart of my sweet Jesus let itself be seen. Looking inside Jesus, I saw his heart in him, and looking within myself, I also saw his sacred heart in me. Ah! How much sweetness! How many delights! How many harmonies were felt in this heart! As I marveled at Jesus, I heard his very sweet voice coming from within his heart telling me, "Daughter, delight of my heart, love needs to manifest itself. Otherwise souls would not be able to move forward, especially those who really love me and who do not admit in themselves other pleasures, other preferences, or any life other than love. I feel so drawn to them that love itself forces me to break the veils of faith. So I reveal myself and I make sure that these souls already enjoy paradise and even from here below at intervals. Love does not give me time to wait for the death of the soul that truly loves me. I allow the soul to already anticipate paradise from this life. Rejoice. Experience my delights. Look and participate in all the contentments that are in my heart. Let yourself go in my love in order to may your love grow and that you may love me more." While he was saying this, I was seeing priests. Jesus continued to tell me, "My daughter, in these times, the Church is dying, but she will not die. On the contrary, it will resurrect even more beautiful. Good priests struggle for a more stripped down, sacrificial and purer life. Bad priests struggle for a life more filled with self-interests, more comfortable, more sensual and all-worldly. I address the few good priests, even if there is only one per village. To these, I speak and I order. I beg and implore. That they make these houses of encounters. Saving for me those priests who will come to these refuges. Making them fully free from any family attachment whatsoever and free from interests. From these few good priests, I will rebuild my church, saving it from its agony. These are my support, my columns, and the continuation of the life of the church. I am not addressing those who do not feel free from family ties. Whoever they are, because if I talk to them, they certainly don't listen to me. Rather, only at the thought of cutting all ties, they remain irritated. Ah! Unfortunately they are used to drinking the cup of interests and the like. And while the cup is gentle on the flesh, it is poisonous on the soul. These will eventually drink the sewers of the world. I want to save them at all costs. But they don't listen to me. That is why I am speaking. But for them, it's like I'm not talking. Continuing in my usual state, my blessed Jesus said to me, "My daughter," said Father G, to ask for the priests' meetings. So that they are not the cause that persecution comes before its time. Because woe to them! Where these meetings will take place, persecution will be less severe, or injuries will be spared. The putrefaction is great, too fetid. Out of necessity, iron and fire are needed. Iron to cut the gangrenous flesh and fire to purify it. So soon. Still in my usual state. I spent almost 6 days immersed in the love of my blessed Jesus, so much that at times I thought I could not continue. I said to Jesus, "Enough is enough. That's enough. I can't go on." I felt like I was in a bath of love that penetrated me to the marrow of the bones. At one point, Jesus told me about love and how much he loved me. At another time, I was the one talking to him about love. What is bad is that sometimes Jesus did not let himself be seen, and I, swimming in this bath of love, I felt the circle of my poor nature dying, and I complained to Jesus about it. He whispered in my ear, "I am love, and if you feel love, I am definitely with you." Other times I would complain and he would say in my ear, all of a sudden, "Louisa, you are my paradise on earth and your love makes me happy." I replied, "Jesus, my love, what do you say? Do you want to laugh at me? You are already happy by yourself. Why do you say you're happy because of me?" Jesus said to me, "Listen to me, my daughter, and you will understand what I am telling you. There is nothing created that does not receive the life of my heart. Creatures are like many strings, which come out of my heart and who receive life from me. Out of necessity and naturally, everything they do resonates completely in my heart, even if it is only a movement. As a result, if they do evil or don't like me, they continually bore me. This string resonates in my heart of sounds of discontent, bitterness, and sin. It forms sad sounds that make me unhappy, because of this rope, of this life that comes out of me. On the contrary, if the creature loves me and is all intentional to satisfy me, this rope gives me a continual pleasure and forms in my heart soft and festive sounds that harmonize with my own life. Because of this rope, I have such a pleasure to the point of making myself happy, and I enjoy my own paradise because of them. If you understand all this correctly, you will no longer say that I laugh at you. And this is what I said about love and what Jesus said. I'm going to say it awkwardly and maybe with words without connection, because my mind can't say everything with words. Oh, my Jesus! You are love. You are all love. I want love, I desire love, I sigh after love. I beg for love and I implore you, you love. Love invites you, love is life for me, love delights my heart even in the womb of my Lord. I get drunk with love. I find my delights in love. I am only for you. Only you are for me. Now that we are alone, are we going to talk about love? Ah! Let me understand how much you love me. Because it is only in your heart that love is understood. Do you want me to talk to you about love? My beloved daughter, listens to my life of love. If I breathe, I love you. If my heart beats, my palpitations tell you love, love. I'm crazy with love for you. If I marry myself, I increase my love for you. I flood you with love. I surround you with love. I caress you with love. I throw arrows at you with love. I dare to love you. I seduce you with love, I feed you with love and I throw sharp darts at your heart. Oh my Jesus, that's enough for now. I feel myself fainting from love. Support me in your arms. Lock me in your heart, and from within your heart let me also vent of love. Otherwise I will die of love. I am delirious with love. I burn with love. I celebrate love. I long for love, I consume myself with love. Love kills me and lifts me up even more beautiful for a new life. My life escapes me and I feel only the life of Jesus, my love. In Jesus, my love, I feel immersed and I love everyone. Jesus' life hurts me with love and makes me sick with love. It beautifies me with love and makes me even richer. I do not know how to say more. Oh love! Only you hear me, only you understand me. My silence speaks to you even more. In your wonderful heart, more is said by being silent than by speaking. By loving, we learn to love. 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 Only you speak, because being love, you know how to talk about love. Do you want to hear about love? All creation tells you love. If the stars sparkle, they tell you love. If the sun rises, it gilds you with love. If the sun shines with all its light in its full daylight, he sends arrows of love to your heart. When the sun goes down, say Jesus ki te dit chui lse mur d'amour pour toi. Dans le tenir et dans les éclairs, jet envoy de l'amour et je lance. Kisses to your heart. On the wings of the wind, it is love that flies away. If the waters murmur, it is my arms that extend towards you. If the leaves move, I press you strongly on my heart. If the flower emits a perfume, it relieves you with love. All creation in silent language says to your heart, I want from you only the life of love. I want love. I desire love. I beg for love from within your heart. I'm happy only if you give me love. My good. My all. Insatiable love, if you want love, you give me love. If you want me happy, you talk to me about love. If you want to please me, you give me love. Love invades me. Love captivates me and leads me to the throne of my Creator. Love shows me uncreated wisdom and leads me to eternal love. There, I stop to stay there. I will live a life of love in your heart. I will love you all. I will love you in all. Jesus, within your heart, put on me your seal of love. Open my veins and let my blood flow so that instead of blood, it is love that flows in me. Take my breath and let me breathe an air of love. Burns my bones and flesh and weaves everything about me entirely of love. Love teaches me how to suffer with you. Love crucifies me and makes me totally like you. Being in my usual state, my ever-kind Jesus came. I prayed to him for certain needs of the church and for a certain bee who printed infernal books. Jesus said to me, my daughter, he did nothing but throw himself deep into the mud. A mind with healthy criteria will immediately recognize how stupid it is and how much I have confused it. That person will not put any real force of reason into what he says. I don't want priests to take care of reading this book. They will make themselves too vile if they do. They will act below their dignity as if they wanted to listen to the dizziness of a child and thus give him free rein to commit further stunning. But by not taking care of the book and by paying no attention to him, they will at least give him the trouble that no one pays attention to his book and that no one appreciates it. They will respond with the worthy works of their ministry, that is the best answer. Ah! He will fall into the trap he is preparing for others. This morning, finding myself out of myself, I saw the Celestial Mother with the child in her arms. With his little hand the Divine Child called me and I flew to my knees before the Queen Mother. Jesus said to me, "My daughter, today I want you to talk with our mom." I said, "Tell me, Celestial Mom, is there anything in me that Jesus does not like?" She said to me, "My dearest daughter, be quiet. For the moment I see nothing in you that displeases my son. If you ever happen to fall into something that may displease him, I will warn you immediately. Trust your mom and don't be afraid." Since the Celestial Queen reassured me of this, I felt like a new life infused into me and added, "My sweet mother, what unhappy times we are in. Tell me, is it really true that Jesus wants the meetings of priests?" She replied, "Absolutely. He wants it because the waves are about to rise too high and these encounters will be the anchors, lamps and rowing with which the Church will save herself from drowning during the storm. While it will seem that the storm has engulfed everything, after the storm it will be seen that anchors, lamps and rowing have remained, that is, the most stable things for the continuity of the life of the Church. But oh! How vile, cowardly, and hardened they, priests, are. Almost no one moves. But these are the times to get to work. Enemies do not rest. And they, the priests, are lazy. It will be worse for them." Then she added, "My daughter, try to provide for everything with love. May only one thing be dear to your heart, love. Have one thought, one word, one life, love. If you want to please and please Jesus, love him and always give him the opportunity to talk about love. This is the only relief that soothes him, love. Tell him to talk to you about love and he will be joyful." I said, "My tender Jesus, do you hear what our mother is saying? Let me ask you about love and you will talk to me about love." While celebrating, Jesus says so much about the virtue, dignity, and nobility of love that I don't have the human language to be able to repeat it. So, I'm silent. I prayed that my blessed Jesus would create confusion among the enemies of the Church. As I came, my ever-kind Jesus said to me, "My daughter, I can confuse the enemies of the Holy Church, but I don't want to. If I did, who would purify my Church?" Members of the Church, especially those who sit at the top of dignities, have blinded eyes. They see things so wrong that they manage to protect those who manifest false virtues and they oppress and condemn the really good. I dislike so much to see my few real children bending under the weight of injustice, these children by which the Church must rise up and to whom I grant many graces to dispose of them for this work. Elaines them with their backs to the wall and their feet shackled to prevent them from advancing. This hurts me so much that I feel all the anger, because of their treatment. Listen to my daughter. I am all tenderness, all kindness, all mercy, and mercy, so much so, that because of my sweetness, I delight hearts. But I am also strong, strong enough to crush and cremate those which not only oppresses the good but also who also try to hinder the good they want to do. Ah! You cry for the laity. I weep for the painful wounds that exist in the body of the Holy Church. They cause me so much pain that they surpass the wounds of the laity. Because these pains come from this part of the body that I didn't expect. These wounds lead me to lay out the laity to cry out against the body of the Church. Continuing in my usual state. My always kind Jesus was all afflicted. I surrounded him. Totally intentioned to show him my sympathy and to love him. Embracing and consoling him with all the fullness of my trust. My sweet Jesus said to me, "My daughter, you are my contentment." In this way, I love that the soul forgets himself as well as his miseries and that she takes care only of me, of my afflictions, of my bitterness, of my love that she surrounds me with confidence. This trust delight my heart and floods me with such joy that when the soul is totally forgotten for me, I forget everything for the soul and I make it one with me. I'm getting there. Not only to give her what she wants, but to make her take what she wants. On the contrary, the soul, who does not forget everything for me, even his miseries, and who wants to surround me, with all due respect, with fear and without the trust that delights my heart, as if she wanted to be with me but seized of a fearful and circumspect reserve, to such a soul I give nothing and she can't take anything because she lacks the key. Trust, comfortable and simplicity. All these things are necessary for me to give and for the soul to take. So she comes with her miseries and she dwells with her miseries. I was thinking of the incomprehensible greatness and the divine wisdom which, by giving us its goods, does not diminish in any way. On the contrary, it seems that by giving, she acquires the glory that the creature gives her by having received the Lord's goods. As I came, my blessed Jesus said to me, "My daughter, you too possess this gift. Not in your body but in your soul. This gift which is communicated to you by my goodness. Indeed, trying to infuse good, virtue, love, patience and gentleness into souls. You don't diminish at all. On the contrary, by infusing them into others. If you see that these souls take advantage of it, you enjoy greater satisfaction. So what you are by grace in the soul, I am by nature. Not only goods of virtues, but of all possible goods, natural and supernatural and whatever they may be. Spending very bitter days because of the absence of my adorable Jesus, I begged him for the kindness to come. It came time for a flash and said to me, "Woe to the love that is hiding." I prayed to him for the Holy Church, asking him to have mercy on the many souls who are lost because they want to wage war against the Holy Church and her ministers. Jesus added, "My daughter, don't grieve, don't. It is necessary for the enemies to purify the Church. After they purify it, patience and the virtues of the good will be light to the enemies. Thus these enemies and the Church will be saved." So I added, "At least don't allow the failings of your ministers to be known to the laity. Otherwise, they will afflict your Church more." Jesus answered, "My daughter doesn't ask me. I become indignant. I want this matter to be known. I can't go on. I can't go on. The sacrileges are enormous. By covering them, I would give them the opportunity to commit greater evils. You will have the patience to endure my absence. You will do it like a heroine. I want to count on you, you who are my daughter. In the meantime, I will be busy preparing plagues for the laity and for priests." I thought of the Celestial Mother at the moment when she carried in her arms my always kind Jesus at the time of his death. What she did and how she took care of him herself. A light accompanied by an inner voice said to me, "My daughter, love worked powerfully in my mother. Love totally consumed her in me, in my wounds, in my blood, in my very death and made her die in my love. My love, consuming her love and the whole being of my mother, made her relieve a new love. That is, my mother is totally resurrected in my love. So her love made her die and my love raised her to the divine life. Thus, there is no holiness if the soul does not die in me. There is no real life if one is not totally consumed in my love." Being in my usual state, as soon as my blessed Jesus came, he said to me, "My daughter, love is not subject to death. There is no power or rights above love. Love is eternal, and for the soul that loves, this soul is eternal with me. Love fears nothing, doubts nothing, and converts the very evils into love. Love is me, myself. I love so much the soul that loves me in everything and does everything out of love that, woe to those who want to touch it. I will burn them in the fire of my terrible righteousness." Continuing in my usual state, as soon as my blessed Jesus came, he said to me, "My daughter, where there is love, there is life. Not human life, but the divine life. Thus, all works, even good ones, if they are not made with love, are like a drawn fire that does not give heat, or the drawing of water which does not quench thirst and does not purify. Oh! How many painted works, or deaths, are accomplished even by people who are consecrated to me. Because only love contains life. Nothing else contains such a power to give life to everything. Rather, without love everything is dead. It almost always goes on in the same way. That is, with its very bitter absence and in silence. At most, he only lets himself be seen. And at most these are ordinary things, so I won't write. I remember that when I whisper some complaint about my condition, he said to me in my interior, "My daughter, patience. Be brave, a heroine, courageous. Let me chastise for now. Then I will come back as before." I remember that I was still worrying about my condition, and he said to me, "My daughter, souls who want to pay attention, difficulties, doubts or to themselves, are like these people, who consider everything to be repugnant and which are demanding in everything. Instead of thinking about feeding, these souls think of things that are repugnant, even if there were none. That is why they lose weight, thinner, and as a result they die. It's the same for souls who worry about everything. They lose weight and as a result they die. The other things, I don't remember well." Then, this morning, finding myself out of myself, I found the child Jesus in my arms. He cried very hard because he had heard that they wanted to drive him out of Italy. We went to France and we didn't want to receive him. My always kind Jesus in weeping said, "Everyone is chasing me away. Nobody wants me. Constrained by them, I will punish them." In the meantime, I saw roads full of rocks and fire, with a lot of destruction in the city. "Have you seen? Let's withdraw, my daughter. Let's withdraw." So we withdrew to bed and he disappeared. Then, after several days, because of the many plagues we heard about, I begged him to calm down. He said to me, "My daughter, they treat me like a dog. I will make them kill each other like dogs." Oh, God! What a heartbreak! Calm down. Oh, Lord! Take it easy. I thought about myself. How is it possible that my blessed Jesus must deprive me of his kind presence in order to chastise people? I would like to know if he does not go to other souls to let himself be seen? I think that they are an apology, or that there is something in me that prevents him from coming. Letting himself be seen briefly, Jesus said to me, "My daughter, it's really true that I don't come often because of the punishments. Suppose it's true that I'm going to another soul, it doesn't mean anything. It all depends on the state of the soul, the state it has reached with my grace. For example, if I went to a newborn, in my grace, or to a soul that has not come to the possession of myself as if I were entirely to it, this soul would do little or nothing to me. This soul would not have boldness, the necessary confidence, to disarm me, to bind me as he pleases. These souls are completely shy in front of me, and with good reason. That's because they didn't come into me as an owner, to be able to dispose of things as they wish. On the contrary, when the soul has come to possess me, it is bold and confident. She knows all the divine secrets and she can tell me, and with good reason, if you're mine, I want to do what I want. That's why in order to be able to act, I hide, because these souls would suffer greatly if they joined me to chastise, or they would prevent me from doing so. My daughter, that's why I don't come forward. Besides, I want to hear from you what you would do to me. How many would you not oppose?" I replied, "Definitely, O Lord. I must do all that you have taught, love creatures as your images and as yourself. If I saw you as before, you would never have allowed the war in Italy. You hide and I remain nothing. And poor nothing, with you I can do everything, without you I can do nothing. See? You yourself say it. So if I come to you, war would be reduced to a game. While my will is that it brings sad and grave consequences. So, I repeat my refrain to you. Cheer up. Stay in peace. Be faithful to me. Do not be like a child who in all things is capricious. On the contrary, be a heroine. I don't really leave you, but I will stand hidden in your heart and you will continue to live by my will. If we do not act in this way, people will come to excesses such as to cause terror and fear. Continuing in my usual state, I saw my adorable Jesus very briefly. He was so distressed to make the rocks cry. He showed me besieged cities and foreign peoples who wanted to invade Italy. All of them emitted cries of pain and fear, some were hiding. All afflicted, Jesus said to me, "My daughter, what sad times! Poor Italy! Italy itself is preparing its exit to death. I gave a lot to Italy. I have favored it more than any other nation. In exchange, Italy gave me more bitterness. I wanted to ask him to calm down and pour out his bitterness in me. But it is gone. I feel myself dying of pain. I keep repeating my refrain, my poor brothers. My poor brothers. Jesus increased my pain by making me see the tragedy of war. How much blood seems to me has been shed and will be shed. Jesus seemed inflexible and said, I can't go on. I want to finish it. You're going to do my will, aren't you? Certainly, as you like, but can I forget that they are your children, out of your own hands? Jesus said, but these children make me suffer a lot. Not only do they want to kill their own father, but they want to kill themselves too. If you knew how they make me suffer, you would unite with me. While he was saying this, it seems to me that he was tying my hands and pressing everything against him. I felt so transformed in his will that I lost the strength to oppose him. He added, now it's okay. You are in my will. Seeing my incapacity and at the same time the tragedy, I burst into tears saying, my Jesus, how are they going to do it? There is no way to save them. At least save their souls. Who will be able to endure this? At least bring me in advance, to heaven. Jesus says. You see. If you keep crying I leave and leave you alone. Do you also want to afflict me? I will save all souls that are disposed, so do not cry. I will give you their souls. Be happy. Why are you so distressed? Can I no longer bring you to heaven? Do you know that I will not bring you? And since I continued to cry, it seems that Jesus withdrew. I must have shouted at him very loudly, saying, Jesus, don't leave me. I won't cry anymore. My ever-kind Jesus continues to come infrequently, but always with his refrain of planning tragedies. Not only that, but he repeats this refrain of invading Italy by foreigners. If this happens, great adversities will occur in Italy. Then I said to Jesus, war, war, earthquakes, destroyed cities. Now you want to add that too. You want to go too far. Who will be able to endure this? Jesus replied, ah, my daughter, it is necessary. It is necessary. You do not understand very well the excesses to which men, of all classes, priests, religious, have arrived. Who will purify them? Isn't it good that I use strangers? To purify everything and to lower the proud and arrogant head of man. I said, at least that you can't do. You can't let strangers come. I will defeat you with my love. What am I saying? Rather, with your love. Didn't you say yourself that you don't know how to deny something to the soul that loves you? Jesus says. You want to defeat me? It seems that you will see yourself fighting with me. Don't you know that true love is in the union of wills? And I, warming up even more, I said. Definitely. Unite with your will in everything, but not in this. Here we have to deal with misfortunes caused to others. We're going to fight a fake fight, but you won't win. Jesus says. Congratulations. Well done. You want to fight with me? I replied, it is better to fight with you than with someone else because you alone is the good, the holy, the kind who takes care of your children. Jesus says, "Come with me a little. Let's go and see." I said, "I don't want to come. You don't want to give me anything. What good is it for me to come?" But then we went. Who can describe the misfortunes we saw? Jesus' reasons for almost wanting to destroy us are so numerous that to talk about them, I don't know where to start. So, I'll stop here. Jesus continues to be seen very rarely but always in the act of drawing my will to him to the point that I feel like I almost want the punishments. What a pain! It seems that he made me suffer a little, telling me that things will be serious. Your little sufferings will serve to satisfy you and allow me to keep my word to you to spare people, in part. I replied, "Thank you, O Jesus. But I'm not happy. I hope to win you over and appease you because from the news we hear about the war, it seems that Italy is winning. So with Italy winning, we will never get to the point where foreigners can invade Italy." Jesus answered, "Ah, my daughter, how much they disappoint themselves. I will allow the first triumphs to blind Italy and for the enemy to plot its defeat. Even now, the events are nothing yet. The triumphs they talk about are triumphs without a fight. So, without certainty." I said, "Ah. I saw Jesus. Please me and calm down." Jesus added, "Ah. My daughter, my daughter." My always kind Jesus let himself be seen by manifesting that he wanted to sleep in my interior. Distracting him, I told him, "Jesus, what are you doing? This is not the time to sleep. Times are sad and a lot of vigilance is required. Would you have the intention to let some serious event happen today?" Jesus answered, "Let me sleep because I really need it. And you, rest with me." I said, "No, Lord. You suffer a lot and you have to rest, but not me." Jesus added, "Then I'm going to sleep. You carry the weight of the world. You'll see if you can do it." I replied, "I certainly won't do it on my own. But with you, yes. Besides, for you, isn't love more than rest? I want to love you so much, but with your love so that I can give you love for all. With love I will put a bomb on all your sufferings. I will make you forget all that is unpleasant. I'm going to make up for everything the creatures should do. Isn't that true, O Jesus?" Jesus said to me, "What you say is exactly true, but love is also right. Oh! How rare is the number of those who establish their lives totally in love. I recommend you, my daughter, to make known to all those you can that everything consists in love. The need for love, and that all that is not love, even in holy things, instead of moving souls forward, makes them retreat. Make it your mission to teach the true life of love, in which there is all that is beautiful in creatures and in which lies all that they can give me most beautiful." I said, "How much it will take a lot to make them understand this. For some souls, it seems strange to them that everything consists of love and that by loving, love assumes the duty to make them like you who is all love. But, nevertheless, I will do what I can." Then I saw that Jesus wanted to withdraw. I said, "Don't leave me. Now that we're talking about love, do you want to withdraw? You love love so much." But after a little time, he disappeared. I would add that on the 11th of the month I said to Jesus, "You're going to keep me on the cross or I'm going to keep you on the cross." Jesus had made me see that he was carrying a coffin all in black on his shoulders. He was totally bent under this coffin and said to me, "This coffin is Italy. I can't wear it anymore. I feel crushed under the weight." It seems that as it straightened up, the coffin trembled and Italy received a terrible jolt. That blessed morning Jesus let himself be seen burning with love. The breath that came out of him was so hot that it seemed that it would be enough to burn all people with love if they wanted to. Then I said to him, "Jesus, my love, since your breath is like a brazier, burns everyone, gives love to all, especially to souls who want it. He replied, you burn everyone who approaches you. I added, how can I burn them if I myself am not burned? In the meantime, it seems that he wanted to talk about punishments. I said, you really want to be sassy? At the moment, no. After that, we'll think about it. It seems then that the saints were praying to my sweet Jesus to bring me to heaven with him. I said, do you see, Jesus, how good the saints are? They want you to bring me to them, you don't. It's not that you're not good, but you're not good to me because you don't bring me. Jesus withdrew, leaving me ashamed. This morning, my ever-kind Jesus strongly threatened to let Italy be invaded by foreign peoples. Feeling resentful of him, I told him, you really want to be sassy? You say you love me and then you want to satisfy me in nothing. Congratulations, Jesus! Is that the love with which you love me? Jesus said, to let you see that I love you, for your love, I will spare those around you. Aren't you happy? Shouting loudly I said, no, Lord. You can't do it. Jesus said, what? Are you full of resentment? I replied. So, today I remain full of resentment towards you. And he disappeared. I hope he will calm down. It seems that he attached me strongly bound to him to make me do his will. It seems that my very sweet Jesus came a little more often than usual. It seems that he was wearing the crown of thorns. And I, by taking it away, I put it on my head. Soon after, looking at Jesus, I saw him crowned with thorns again. Jesus said to me, you see, my daughter, how much they offend me. You took one away from me and they braided another for me. They never leave me free. Continually they weave a crown of thorns for me. Again I removed the thorns from him. Jesus, satisfied, approached my mouth and poured a little sweet liquor into it. I said, Jesus, what are you doing? You are full of bitterness and you pour sweets into me? It's not good. Jesus answered, let me do it. You too need to be relieved. Rather, I want you to rest a little in my heart. Oh! How good it was! Then he placed me outside. I said, why are you putting me out? I was so good in your heart. How wonderful it was! Jesus answered. When I hold you inside me, it is only I who enjoy you. When I put you outside, everyone enjoys you and you can defend your brothers. You can intercede for them and you can make sure that they are spared. This is so true that the saints say, may I satisfy you more than they do. That I find more pleasure in your love than in theirs. I tell them that I do it with love and in all justice because with you I can share my sufferings, with them, no. You, while still on earth, can take it upon yourself. The suffering of others and mine. That way, you have the power to disarm me, unless I don't want to. Like yesterday when I tied your arms very strongly so as not to let you oppose my will. They, on the other hand, no longer have these weapons in their power. It's so true that when I have to punish, I hide in you, because you can touch me by intervening. I don't hide in them. I replied, certainly, certainly, O Jesus. You must be happier with my love than theirs. For their love is the love of those who are in heaven. They see you. They enjoy you continuously and they are absorbed in your most holy and divine will. Everyone is scattered in you. What is great in their love, they who receive from you the continual life. While I, a poor little girl, your absences alone give me a continual death. Jesus said, my poor daughter, you are right. This morning, as soon as my most sweet Jesus let himself be seen, he was placing his finger in my mouth. As if he wanted me to raise my voice to speak to him, telling me, sing me a cantilene of love. I want to distract myself a bit from what the creatures do to me. Talk to me about love, give me relief. I said, you do it first, because from you I will learn how to do it for you. Jesus said so many words of love to me and added, "Are we going to have fun?" I said, "Yes." It seems that he took an arrow from inside his heart and threw it into mine. I felt myself dying of pain and love, but I maintained myself. Then Jesus said, "I did it for you, now do it for me." I said, "I don't know what to send you. In order for me to do it to you, I have to use your arrow." So I took the arrow and threw it inside his heart. Jesus remained wounded and fainted. I supported him in my arms. But who can tell all my nonsense? So, all of a sudden, he disappeared without even helping me go back. It seems to me that the angel wanted to help me. I said, "No, my angel, I want Jesus. Call. Call. Otherwise I will stay here." And I shouted loudly, "Come. Come Jesus." It seems that Jesus came and said to me, "Have I won?" Congratulations to Jesus. Then helping me to go back he said to me, "You have offended the angel." I said, "That's not true. I want to receive everything from you. Besides, he knows that among all, I must love you first." Jesus smiled and disappeared. This morning, my ever-kind Jesus wanted to save himself from me. I held him tightly in my arms. Jesus wanted to set himself free. I said, "You taught me. 3 days ago, you tied me tightly so that I couldn't move, and I let you do it so that when the opportunity arose, I could do the same to you. Now, rest easy. Let me act. I want to talk to you in the ear, especially since I don't want to scream. It seems to me that in these last few days you wanted to make me scream, pretending to be deaf so as not to hear me. I had to repeat myself and shout to make myself heard. I don't know why from time to time you do these novelties." Jesus said, "I was deafened by the offenses of the creatures. To distract me and to relieve myself, I wanted to hear your loving voice and I pretended not to hear. Ah! You don't know what echo of curses comes to me from the earth. Voices of love, praise, etc. Break this pestiferous echo and relieve me somewhat. In the meantime, it seems that the mother has come." I said, "Oh Mom! Mom! Come Jesus! Mom, is here." She said to me, "Love Jesus very much. Keep it happy. Love is his happiness." I replied. "It seems that he is somewhat happy. I will do what I can to love him. It seems to me that you can satisfy him more than I can." The mother says, "My daughter, the love of heaven belongs to her, already. Jesus wants to acquire the love of the earth. That's why on this side, you can satisfy him more. By magnetizing it and much more in pain." I said, "If you knew, my mom, everything he does to me. He abandons me and even deprives me of suffering in order to punish. Listen to what he said the day before yesterday, he wants to bring foreigners into Italy. How much destruction they will commit. He really wants to make himself impertinent. And to make me give in to his will, he attached me very strongly." He added, "What? Are you accusing me?" I said, "Definitely. I have to accuse you in front of Mom because she entrusts you to me, recommending that I be very careful not to let you be punished. She also told me to be bold in disarming you. Isn't that true, Mom?" She replied, "Yes, that's right. And I want you to continue more. Because serious punishments are being prepared. So, love him very much because at least love will soothe him." I said, "I'm going to do what I can. I feel love only for him, so much so that, without you, I know how to do it, but without Jesus, no. Certainly you won't be upset by this because you know and you want that I love Jesus more." Mom seemed to be happy. Seeing my adorable Jesus, one is driven to compassion. He cried so much, leaning his face against mine. I felt his tears running down me. Seeing him cry, I cried too and said, "What is wrong, oh Jesus? Why are you crying? Ah! Don't cry, I beg you. Pour it all into me. Give me some of your bitterness, but don't cry. Because I feel like I'm dying of pain. Poor Jesus! What did they do to you? I stroked and kissed him to calm his crying. Jesus says, "Ah, my daughter, you don't know everything they do to me. If you saw him, you would die of pain. Then you tell me that I must not let strangers come. But by what they do, they themselves snatch this punishment from my hands. They were the ones who snatched from me the punishment of war and the destruction of cities. So my daughter, patience." I said. "Seeing you cry, I feel my hands tied and I don't know how to tell you not to. I have only one thing to say to you. Bring me in advance, because being in heaven, I will think like those in heaven. But being on earth, I will not think like those in heaven. I feel like I can't bear to see all this." It then seems that Jesus' suffering was so great and the need for someone to relieve him so pressing, that he was almost always with me. At one point, I was talking to him about love. At another time, I was making reparations to him. At another time, we were praying together. At another time, I looked at his head to see if he was wearing the crown of thorns in order to remove it from him. Jesus wanted to stay still, and it seems that he let me do everything. There were so many sins being committed that he was running away from opportunities to go to the midst of people. Then he poured into me a small amount of a sweet liquor, telling me, "You too need to be relieved." Oh! How good Jesus is! This morning, my ever-kind Jesus came. Who can describe how much he has shown himself to be suffering? It seems that he experiences in himself all the sufferings of creatures. There is so much suffering that he seeks relief and comfort. After holding him with me in silence and in order to relieve him, I told him my foolishness of love, adding kisses and caresses. It then seems that he has been relieved. Then he said to me, "My daughter, may the life of your heart be but all love. Don't let anything else in, because I want to take my food inside your heart. If I don't find that everything is love, the food won't be pleasant to me. As for the other parts of your body, you can give each one its function of love. That is, to the mind, to the mouth, to the feet and to all your senses, to one, adoration. To the other, repair. To another, praise, thanksgiving, etc. But from the heart, I only want love." He continued to let himself be seen, but wanting to hide in me, so as not to see the wickedness of creatures. It seems that I found myself out of myself. I have seen venerable people all distraught. They talked about war and were greatly frightened. Then he let me see the Queen Mother. I said, "My beautiful mom, what about the war?" She replied, "My daughter, pray." Oh! How many hostilities! Pray, pray to my daughter. I remained dismayed and prayed to my good Jesus. But it seems that Jesus didn't want to pay any attention to me. Rather, it seems that he doesn't even want to talk about it. It seems that he only wants relief, and relief that comes only from love. Instead of pouring bitterness into me, he pours sweets into me. And if I say to him, "You are filled with bitterness and you pour sweets into me," Jesus answers, "My daughter, I can spread my bitterness with everyone. But I can only pour out the outpourings of my love into the soul that loves me and is all love for me. Don't you know that love is also necessary in me, and that I need it more than anything else?" Continuing in my usual state, as soon as my blessed Jesus came, I complained to him that he came and went like a lightning bolt, and that he did not give me time to tell him anything about the needs that exist. I also complained that when he comes, at some point he holds me strongly, and at another moment he transforms me so much in his will, that he does not even leave me a small space to be able to intercede on behalf of his creatures. Jesus said to me, "But, my daughter, you always want to know the reason. I tell you, things will be serious, very, very serious. That is the reason. If I put myself in trust with you, You would tie me up and you would embark on one of your great bravos. For now, you have to exercise patience because I'm the one who tied you. After. He took a heart all of light and he placed it inside of me, adding, Thou shalt love, thou shalt speak. You will think, you will make reparations and you will do everything through this heart. I complained to Jesus. His absences, especially in these days, and the fact that he no longer let me see anything of the events. My blessed Jesus said to me, My daughter, I am here in your heart. And if I don't let you see anything anymore, it's because I've let the world depend on itself. Having withdrawn myself, I have also withdrawn you. That's why you don't see what's going on in these days anymore. But for you, I am always attentive to see and hear what you want. Did you ask me for something? Did you need my teachings and I didn't pay attention to you? Rather, I'm so assisting you that I have placed you in a state where you do not feel the need for anything. Your only need is my will and let the consumption of love be fulfilled in you. My will is like a source. The more the soul penetrates inside my will, the more the source of my will expands and the soul participates more in all my possessions. So, in this period of your life, I want you all intention to form the perfect consumption of yourself in love. I said, but, my sweet love, I fear my present state very much. My love, what a change! And you know it. Even suffering has fled. It seems that she is afraid to come to me. Is that not a tragic sign? Jesus replied, What you say is false, my daughter. If I don't keep you as attached, you will rise up. What does it mean not to be able to move on your own? Needing others in your business? Isn't that a sign that I'm holding you attached? Having detached you from the bonds of my presence, my love uses other tricks to keep you connected to me. You must know that true crucifixion is not to be crucified in the hands and feet but in all the particles of the soul and body. So now I hold you more crucified than before. When you are crucified by me, how long does the crucifixion last outwardly in hands and feet? Barely 3 hours. But the crucifixion of all the particles of my being is the crucifixion of my will and the will of the Father that lasted all my life. Don't you also want to imitate me in this? Ah! If I really wanted to detach you, you would remain released as if you hadn't gone to bed for a single day. But I promise you I'll come back immediately. I continue my very bitter days but resigned to the will of God. When my kind Jesus lets himself be seen, he is always distressed and upset. It seems that he doesn't want to pay attention to me anymore. This morning, letting himself be seen, he put 2 pendants in my ears. They were so bright that they looked like 2 suns. Then he said, My beloved daughter, for the soul who is all intent to listen to me, my word is a sun that not only rejoices the understanding, but which nourishes the mind and satiates the heart of me and my love. Ah! We do not want to understand that my whole intention is to see that everyone is centered in me, without paying attention to anything that is outside of me. Do you see that soul there, pointing at it? With the way she scrutinizes everything, pays attention to everything, lets herself be impressed by everything, even excesses, and even by holy things, it is nothing but to live outside of me. And the soul that lives outside of me, as a consequence, experiences a lot of itself. She believes she honors me, but it is quite the opposite. Finding myself in my usual state, my blessed Jesus came for a little while. Standing in front of me, he looked at me from head to toe. These glances penetrated me. Inside and outside and I remained all light. The more he looked at me, the brighter I was. Through this light, he looked at the whole world. After looking carefully, he said to me, My daughter, my will is sun. The soul that lives from my will becomes a sun. It is only through this sun that I look at the world and that I pour out graces and blessings for the benefit of all. If I did not find this sun of my will in any soul, the land would become foreign to me and I would cut off any communication whatsoever between earth and heaven. Thus, the soul that perfectly fulfills my will is like a sun in the world. But with this difference. The material sun does good. He gives light and does good materially. The sun of my will in the soul implores spiritual and temporal graces for all and gives light to souls. My daughter, make my will be the thing dearest to your heart. Make my will be your life, your whole. Even in the holiest things. Even going as far as in my absences. Certainly you will not be able to displease me. By distancing yourself, even a little bit, from my will, right. I remained delighted. It is gone. I thought to myself. What does Jesus mean by this? Ah! Maybe he wants to make me. One of his bursts of brilliance. One of these bravos. That is to say, to deprive me of his presence. Ah! May his divine will always be blessed and worshipped. Having read in my writings that when blessed Jesus deprives us of his presence, he becomes our debtor. I thought in myself. If Jesus does the counting, all his absences, acts of tolerance and acts of whim that I do, especially in these times, who knows how much debt he has incurred towards me. But I fear that my state, not being his will, instead of making him the debtor, make me the debtor. Jesus, stirring in my interior, said to me, I look at what you do, if you move, or if you change the system. As long as you don't move, be sure that I will always sign new debts. Your expectation, tolerance, and perseverance send me invoices telling me where to put my signature. But if you don't do that, first, I would have no place to put my signature. Secondly, you would not have documents in hand to collect these debts. And if you wanted to ask for it, I would answer you frankly. I don't know you. Where are the documents that indicate that I owe you? You would remain confused. It is true that I make myself the debtor when I deprive a soul of my presence, of sensible grace. Goal. When I deposit my wisdom and when souls do not give me the opportunity to deprive them of my presence, or when they give me the opportunity and, depriving them of my presence, they do not remain faithful to me, they do not wait, then, instead of making me the debtor, they make themselves debtors. If I take on debt, I have what it takes to pay off and I always remain who I am. But, if you make a debt, how are you going to pay me? So, be attentive to your position, to your state of victim. No matter how I support you, if you want to make me your debtor. I told him. Who knows Jesus how it goes with the father, priest, because he didn't feel well. Today, I did not think of praying for him as I am used to doing continuously and as I did the day before yesterday. Jesus answered me. He continues to feel more relieved because you pray to me continuously. I feel the power of prayer and it almost prevents me from making him feel more suffering with time, when this continual prayer ceases. This force disappears and I am free to make him suffer more. Having received Holy Communion, my ever-kind Jesus let me see it. All around me and I inside him, as inside a current. Jesus was the current and I was the nothing that was in the middle of the current. But who can say what I have experienced in this current? I felt immense and yet nothing existed of me except my nothingness. I felt myself breathing through Jesus. I felt his breath around me and everywhere. But I don't know how to explain it. I am too ignorant. I wrote only out of obedience. Afterwards, Jesus said to me, "My daughter, see how much I love you and how I take care of you. Inside my current. That is, inside of me. This is how you have to take care of me and give me a place of refuge inside you. Love desires an equality of love so that it can have the contentment to make a greater surprise of love. So, never go out of the inside of my love, of my desires, of my works, of my whole. By finding myself in my usual state, My always kind Jesus let himself be seen with a rope in his hand. With this rope, he would, by tying hearts and by pressing them strongly against him so that these hearts lost their own feelings and had all the feelings of Jesus. Feeling strongly pressed, these hearts struggled. As they struggled, they widened the knot that Jesus had made. Fearing that by no longer experiencing their own feelings, it was a disadvantage for them, all afflicted by the movement of these souls, Jesus said to me, "My daughter, have you seen? Have you seen how souls make my loving tenderness vain? I go by tying hearts, to unite them strongly in me, in order to make them lose everything that is human. And they, instead of letting me do it, they worry, seeing broken in themselves what is human, as if they were losing their breath. They are struggling. They even want to look at themselves a little to see how they are, whether they are cold, dry or hot. With this look turned on themselves, they are worried, are struggling and widen the knot I made. They want to stay with me, but at a distance, but not so tight against me that they no longer feel their own feelings. This RN afflicts to excess and they RN hinder in my love games. Don't believe that it's only souls who are far from you. It is also the souls that surround you. You will make them understand this discontent they give me. If they don't let themselves be pressed against me, to the point of losing their own feelings, I can never increase my graces, my charisms with them. Do you understand?" I said, "Yes, oh Jesus, I understand." Poor souls. If they understood the secret behind your embrace, they wouldn't. They would let you act. Even, they would be even smaller so that you could squeeze the knot even harder. In the meantime, I made myself very small. Jesus was pressing me hard and instead of struggling with me, I let myself hold even harder. As he pressed me against him, I felt the life of Jesus and lost mine. Oh! How happy I felt with the life of Jesus! I could love more and I could accomplish everything Jesus wanted. My ever-kind Jesus returned and continued to be seen moving to embrace hearts strongly. For the souls who resisted this tightening, grace remained powerless. Jesus took this grace in his fist and carried it to the few souls who let him kiss them strongly. He also brought a good part of it for me. Seeing this I said to him, "My sweet life, you are so good to me by giving me some of the grace that others refuse. And yet, I don't feel any tightening. On the contrary, I feel very broad to the point that I do not know how to see. Nor the width, nor the height, nor the depth of the confines in which I find myself." Jesus said to me, "My beloved daughter, souls who do not let themselves be pressed very strongly by me, feel my tightening. They cannot enter to live in me. But for the soul that lets itself be pressed strongly by me as I want, it has already passed to live in me. Living in me, everything is wide, the tightening no longer exists. The tightening persists until the soul has the patience to let itself be pressed strongly by me to the point of undoing its human being to be able to live in the divine life. After, when the soul made the passage to live in me, I keep it safe and I let her move in my endless confines. Many times even, I have to force these souls to get outside a little, to make them see the misfortunes of the earth and to make them intercede for the salvation of my children with greater anxiety, so that the deserved punishments may be spared them. These souls are like on thorns. They squeeze me, because they want to enter into me, complaining that the land is not for them. How many times have I done this for you? I had to be angry and scowling to keep you in place a little. Otherwise you wouldn't have stayed outside of me for a minute. My heart knows what it has suffered by seeing you outside of me, shaken, anxious and all in tears. While others do this so as not to be pressed hard by me, you did it to live in me. How many times have you not been angry yourself and capricious because of this situation, of being placed outside of me? Don't you remember that we two found ourselves in arguments? I said, ah. Yes, I remember that. The day before yesterday to be exact. Was ready to do the capricious because you are and placed outside of you. And since I saw you crying for the misfortunes of the earth, I cried with you and my whims passed. You are really clever, oh Jesus, do you know that? What are you smart about, smart little one? Love, giving love. In order to receive love, you come to be evil. Isn't this true, Jesus? After a capricious act, after an argument together, don't we love each other even more? Jesus says. Definitely, definitely. It is necessary to love in order to be able to understand love. And when love fails to reach souls in the right way, he tries to reach them with bitterness, whims, and even holy malignancy. This morning, Jesus showed me a soul crying, but it seems to me that she was crying with love. Jesus pressed this soul against him strongly. It seems to me that there was a cross inside the heart of this soul, and by pressing its heart, the soul experienced states of abandonment, coldness, agony, distraction, and apprehension. The soul struggled and sometimes saved itself from Jesus' arms to place itself at his feet. Jesus wanted the soul to endure in this state to remain in Jesus' arms. He said to her, "If you know how to persevere in this state of abiding in my arms without moving, this cross will be your sanctification. Otherwise you will always remain at the same point." Seeing this I said, "Jesus, what do these souls want from me? It seems to me that they want to take away my holy freedom and enter into the secrets that exist between you and me." Jesus said, "My daughter, if I allowed something to be heard when you spoke with me, it was because of their great faith. If I hadn't allowed it, I would feel like I had cheated on them. If others try, you'll see that I don't even let you breathe." I replied, "I fear, O Jesus, that we are not alone even at this hour. If you let things go out, where will my hiding place be in you? Listen to O Jesus, I will tell you directly, I do not want my follies to come out. Only you must know them because only you know me. You know how crazy I am, how malignant I am. I even come to be impertinent with you, to be capricious as if I were a child. Who can achieve this? No one. Only my madness, my pride, my great malignancy. And since I see that you love me even more, in order to receive more love from you, I continue to be ridiculous by not worrying that I am your toy. What do others know? Zero, dear Jesus. My daughter, don't worry. I told you that I don't usually want that, at most, once in 100. And almost to distract me he added, "Tell me what you want to say to those in heaven." I said, "I can't say anything to those I speak to directly. It is only to you that I know how to say everything. Through you, you will tell them that I pay their respects and greet them all, the sweet mother, the saints and angels my brothers, and the virgins my sisters. Tell them also to remember the poor exile." This morning, after offering Jesus a soul as a victim, Jesus accepted the offering and said to me, "My daughter, the first thing I want is the union of wills. This soul must give itself as prey to my will. It must be the toy of my will. I will be very attentive to see if everything she does is united with my will, especially if her actions are voluntary. If I see that his actions united with my will are involuntary, I will not take them into account. Therefore, when she tells me that she wants to be my victim, I will consider her not to be said." Second, to the union of wills in my will, adds that she must become a victim of love. He will be jealous of everything. True love ensures that the person no longer belongs to himself, rather the person is the property of the beloved person. Third, victim of self-immolation. This soul must do everything with the attitude of sacrificing itself for me, even in the most indifferent things. This will be followed by the victim status of reparation. This soul must suffer everything, make reparation for everything, sympathize with me in everything. And here is the fourth point, if this soul acts faithfully in this, then I can accept it as a victim of sacrifice, pain, heroism, and consumption. Recommend fidelity to this soul. If this soul remains faithful to me, everything is accomplished. I said, yes, this soul will be faithful to you. Jesus added, we will see. Continuing in my usual state, my ever-kind Jesus came. Putting his holy hand under my chin, he said to me, my daughter, you are a reflection of my glory. Then he added, it is necessary for me to have mirrors in the world where I can go and contemplate myself. A fountain, when pure, can serve as a small mirror for people to look at each other. But if the waters are murky, there is no more to the fact that the structure of the fountain is pure. It is useless for this fountain to boast of being formed of precious stones. The sun cannot launch its rays perpendicularly, so that these waters become silvery and to communicate to them the variety of colors. Moreover, people cannot contemplate themselves in this fountain. My daughter, virgin souls resemble the purity of the fountain. Crystal clear and pure waters are their rightful acts. The sun that launches its perpendicular rays is me. Varieties of colors are love. But if I do not find in a soul purity, righteousness, and love, it cannot be my mirror. These are my mirrors in which I reflect my glory. All other souls, even if they are virgins, not only do not allow me to contemplate myself, and in wanting to do so, I do not recognize myself in them. And the sign of all this is peace. From this, you will recognize how few mirrors I have in the world, because peaceful souls are very rare. Continuing in my usual state, my ever-amiable Jesus let himself be seen so briefly that I barely saw him. He told me, my daughter, a soul that leaves everything and works for me. A soul who loves everything in a divine way, everything is at his disposal. The sign to recognize if a soul has left everything for me and came to work and love everything in a divine way, it is to see if in its actions, in these words, in his prayers and in all, she can no longer find impediments, discontent, contrasts and oppositions. Because in front of this power to work, and to love everything in a divine way, everyone lowers their head and does not even dare to breathe. Because I, the benevolent Father, always remain vigilant about the human heart. When I see it escape, that is, when I see him operating and loving in a human way, I place thorns, discontents, bitterness, that sting and bitter these human operations and this human love. The soul by feeling stung perceives that his way is not divine and it enters into itself and acts divinely because the stings are the sentinels of the human heart and they give eyes to the soul, so that she can see who sets her in motion, God or the creature. In fact, when the soul leaves everything, operates and loves everything in a divine way, she enjoys my peace. Instead of having the sentinels and the eyes of the bites, she has the sentinels of peace, who put at a distance everything that may disturb it. The eyes of love that puts on the run and scalds those who want to disturb it. That is why the sentinels of this soul are at peace. They give peace to the soul and put themselves at the disposal of the soul. It then seems that the soul can say, no one touches me because I am divine and I belong totally to my sweet love, Jesus. No one dares to disturb my sweet rest with my greatest good. And if someone tries, with the power of Jesus that is mine, I will make him flee. It seems to me that I have said a lot of stupidities, but Jesus will certainly forgive me because I did it to obey. It seems that he gives me the theme in words and I, being ignorant and a child, I do not have the ability to develop it. May everything be for the glory of God and the triumph of the kingdom of the Supreme Fiat.